share that with me in a private chat, maybe.
Sure. And then resume share. Okay. Pause that. Pause it. Copy that. I'll put that on Telegram.
Okay. Do you want me to share that?
I'm putting it on WhatsApp because Telegram was messing me around earlier. It was popping up when I didn't want it to. So it's on WhatsApp, that YouTube link. And now I'm closing WhatsApp because I'm trying to be less distracted.
Do you want me to share this YouTube link on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can. Why not?
So watch Craig live.
And then 1 minute to go. The sharing thing's now messing me around again. I can't go resume share. How do I get it back to... Oh, come on. What is it doing? Oh, my word. There. Are you seeing what you should see?
I'm seeing the blue slide with your face on.
Yeah, that's the first slide. Yeah. Okay. And shall we admit?
Yes, I'll continue recording as well. There you go. I can't admit, so... No, because I made you host.
And
you want to make me co-host? I don't know if you can make me co-host.
Well, I'm just going to click on admit all. And I'm going to see if I can make you co-host.
Hi, everyone. We'll start in a minute, just waiting for a few people to connect. And then we'll get going. Please do say hi in the chat and tell us where you are from.
Yeah, and Liesel, it just gives me the option to make you a host, doesn't allow a co-host.
So we'll have to leave it as that then.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited about this session. It's going to be awesome. Just need to get my caffeine levels up a bit. Sure.
Craig, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and come in again. You are host because then you can share your video as well. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Welcome, Kuliswa. Welcome, Kuliswa. And everyone else that knows us, glad to have you here. Pop in the chat where you're from and what motivated you to be with us today. Really appreciate you joining us. Excuse me. Not that. Oh, my word. Keeps on doing that to me. Hey, there's Melissa. Charlene, glad you could join us. Rob from Bryanston. Ardendu, good to see you again. AJ, welcome. Cool. I'm going to give it another half a minute or so. Welcome, Gerard. Awesome to see so many new faces as well. Right. I think we should get going. So thanks for joining us today to help us democratize entrepreneurship as purposepreneurs. It's really awesome to have you and to share the love, as we say, and to tap into the collective intelligence of the community to democratize entrepreneurship. Hopefully, you're all geared up to participate and give us the input that we're looking for here. So it's going to be quite an interactive session, and feel free to put up your hand, ask questions. You'll see there's an ask a question option that comes up. But let's start with, we're going to be using a tool called Menti, and in order for everybody just to be on the same kind of page in terms of how that works, let's just start with a little quick overview of Menti. Liesl, are you there?
I am here. Thanks, Craig.
Cool. Will you just give us a few guidelines there on Menti, please?
Yes, thank you and welcome, everybody. So we are, as Craig said, we're going to use menti.com. It's an interactive tool that you can use during your presentations. I have just shared in the Zoom chat the menti.com link that you can click on, and then you'll also see the numbers 703186. That will be the numbers that you need to enter when you go to the page menti.com. What will then happen is that the first question will be there with an instruction, and Craig will talk us through that every time. So after you've answered and submitted your answers to that question, you click submit, and you can have the opportunity to again add or change your answers that you've previously submitted. And please feel free to do that, but please do not continue to the next question until Craig asks you to do that. Please also do not close that screen, because we are going to engage in quite a number of interactive activities during Craig's workshop this afternoon. Craig, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it requires that you have two tabs open, I guess. The one to follow the presentation, and the other one to keep responding to the interactive part of the presentation on menti.com. So I see one or two people joined kind of just after Liesl popped that in the chat. So it's menti.com. And then you'll see there's a code there. Maybe just reshare that again, Liesl, so that anyone that joins a bit later or has missed it as they joined also gets it. Cool. So as I said, thanks so much for being here to help us democratize entrepreneurship. So we're going to start with just getting a sense of who's in the room. And as I said, it's awesome that you are in the room. So as you can see at the top of the screen, go to menti.com and enter the code 703186, and just give us a sense of what stage of entrepreneurship you're in. So, have you just started as an entrepreneur? Did you start last year, but you've only got a few customers, or you actually started fairly recently, but you've got a number of customers already, or are you an established entrepreneur? Or are you in fact in corporate as an entrepreneur or as a corporate maverick? Or are you actually just a corporate career junkie? So as you can see on my screen, we're already starting to get some feedback there. We've got one corporate in the room. That's awesome. We need diversity. No career junkies yet. hopefully there are some around, because I guess somebody's got to do that job. Nice work if you can get it, kind of thing. And I see we've got quite a few established entrepreneurs, so we'll just give it a few minutes. The timer is still running, but yeah, let's start a countdown of 1 minute. And what you'll see with these, with the display of the results, is that if you want to go back at any stage, you are able to go back and enter additional, and that's not so important with this part. It's more important with later on when there's multiple options to enter words. If you think of something and we've moved on, you can go back and add, because what we're doing is we're gathering the data that we need to help democratize entrepreneurship and populate the entrepreneurial brain. So this is pretty interesting. So we got 31% established entrepreneurs, 29% started recently but have a few customers, 24% just started. I assume have no customers if you just started and you haven't said have a few customers, and then 6% entrepreneurs in corporate, and no corporate mavericks or career junkies. So they're obviously having to do their day jobs. So what I wanted to do is just give you a little bit more context on what we mean by democratizing entrepreneurship. And at the core, we really see this as a purpose-driven journey. We see it kind of as a flip of entrepreneurship in terms of not focusing so much on startups and the startup ecosystem and the funding ecosystem, where there is still quite a bit of elitism, if you like, and it's very much tied to existing corporate environments and that kind of thing. What we're looking to do in democratizing entrepreneurship is create economic inclusion and enhance economic development and increase economic inclusion. So we see it kind of differently, much more bottom up, much more addressing the fundamentals, and taking a nuts and bolts approach. And then what we do is we engage with entrepreneurs to digitize their journey. Take any strength that they might have and begin to digitize it so that they can use that as learning, training, helping one another, and developing from that perspective. And in doing that, we're building kind of a community of practice. So we have this mantra of each one, reach one, teach one. And we believe that we can all learn from each other as we build this community of practice and as each one of us supports each other. So we all support each other, and we have this massive transformative purpose, which is democratizing entrepreneurship. And the focus is on Africa, or in Africa. It's not only for Africa, but it's certainly in Africa. And what we believe is that if we get it right for Africa, we can get it right for anywhere in the world. So that's just some of the fundamentals. In terms of the entrepreneurial brain, which is your framework for democratizing entrepreneurship, we see 7, we call them neural paths, and 5 states of mind. We see mindset as fundamental. So mindset affects all of the other paths. And, your mindset could be one of fear, but it could be one of real, transcendence. So, really at the stage where you're flying, if you like, or you're in a flow state, if you like. But mindset and those states affect everything else. And mindset is absolutely fundamental. And then I'll go into more detail about the other pathways. But before we do that, so here's a question. What is the best entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship book that you've ever read? Why don't you give me some input on that? So if you go back to your voting slide, you'll be able to enter answers there in terms of the best book you've ever read. And I'm curious to see if what comes up there. So Lean Startup, no surprises there. Is that the only book all of you have ever read? The E-Myth. Very cool. I'm going to start the timer. We'll give this 1 minute. Yeah, Lean Startup again, just spelled differently this time. I'm actually going to go and enter a book, because why shouldn't I? So go to slide. Now we're starting to fly. And we've got 17 seconds left. Got mine in just in time. Quantum success. Thank goodness I'm not the only one that's read Exponential Organizations. That's what I wanted to hear. And the reason that I say that is that Exponential Organizations refers to and leverages off the lean startup, especially in terms of the exponential transformation sprint process. So I wanted to just set the scene in that regard to just talk a little bit about an exponential organization is a purpose-driven, agile, scalable organization that leverages exponential attributes to create a massive positive impact. In business, exponential organizations drive the cost of supply to zero. So this comes from Salim Ismail. He wrote the book Exponential Organizations, and in fact this definition has been crowdsourced in the OpenXO community. So in this new world of entrepreneurship, impact has to be at least 10x larger than your peers. Usually a platform business, leveraging exponential technologies to unlock new business models, decrease the cost of both supply and demand. And obviously the cost of supply is much easier to diminish than in historical terms because of the internet. But now the challenge is to decrease the cost of demand and the business models and the business model innovation that goes along with that. So in democratizing entrepreneurship, we look at three things. We look at the way you think, and as I said, mindset being absolutely fundamental, the way you work, and then your value offer. And obviously the way you think is about the clarity of purpose, perspective. Perspective is fundamental, and for entrepreneurs, when we try and help entrepreneurs, it's critically important that we understand their perspective, and their frame of reference, where they've come from, what they have learned, what they haven't learned, and help them to progress from that perspective. And the intentionality, so are you just doing entrepreneurial stuff out of necessity, or do you have a passion and purpose for entrepreneurship? Then in terms of the way that you work, these are the essential skills that leverage the capabilities that you need to create value. The practices are modern methods for extracting and sharing value. And then of course the team that you collaborate closely with for shared value. And we're going to go into all of this in a bit more detail. That's why I'm going so quickly. And then of course your value offer is about the solutions. So application of capabilities to deliver solutions. Resources, so those capabilities, tools, and templates that you can leverage, and then of course engaging with the customer for mutual benefit. So that's that picture. So as we said, our massive transformative purpose is democratizing entrepreneurship. What's the first thing that comes to mind? And please go back to the voting slide. When you hear democratizing entrepreneurship, does it excite you? Does it entice you? Does it attract you? What do you think of this phrase? I'm curious to hear from all of you. You'll notice on the bottom of the panel where you can enter your answers that there is an opportunity to ask a question. So please feel free to use that as well. I haven't actually tested how that works. I'd be intrigued to see how it works. Cool. So we're getting collaboration. We're getting BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. We're getting open community. We're getting opportunity, excitement. Yeah, and we are increasingly excited about this notion of flipping the startup mindset to one of bottom-up inclusion, empowerment, addressing inequality, all that type of cool stuff that I think is critical to closing the earnings gap and reducing the Gini coefficient across Africa and across the world for that matter. So, wow, we're getting some really awesome feedback here. Collaboration, excitement, and community are coming through most dominantly. So that's really cool. And that's really what we're trying to drive. But also things like shared resources, open access, ease of access to knowledge. You know, and one of the challenges with democratizing entrepreneurship is that by I guess by design, out of necessity, you also need to, if you're going to democratize entrepreneurship, you need to democratize access to internet, you know, access to data. And I don't just mean the data on the internet, I mean people's data. You know, they need to be empowered to control their own data and their personal information. And then, of course, you need to democratize access to education as well, to democratize entrepreneurship. So it's really a massive purpose and challenge that we're tackling. So let's get into the framework itself. And when you think of mindset, the mindset of the entrepreneur, what word or phrase best describes the entrepreneurial mindset? What can you give us some input to this, you know, issue of mindset? So remember, mindset is the clarity of purpose, perspective, frame of reference, and intentionality of the entrepreneur. It's a bit convoluted. I'm happy to tweak it, but we're just trying to give you an idea. So we're starting to get some answers in, solving problems. So a mindset of solutioning, I guess that means helping others, seeking opportunities. I'm going to enter some stuff as well because I can. Bold. Brave. And as I said, there's an ask a question option if you're up for it, if you feel for it. And there's somebody in the waiting room. I'm letting them in. Welcome if you just joined us. We're going through an exercise. Liesl, I don't know if you need to repost the Menti link and the code, although you can see it at the top of the screen. So if you've just joined us, go to menti.com and enter the code 703186. Cool. So in terms of that, helping others, solving problems, intentional actions, seeking opportunity, you know, and it makes me think of Jack Ma's story of wherever people have problems, entrepreneurs have, you know, the opportunity to provide solutions. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. The next one is in terms of the way you work. So when you think of the way you work, what is your greatest entrepreneurial team need? So remember, now we're in the team pathway. If you go to the slide, you'll see on the voting slide, you'll see we're on the team pathway, and that's about the people that collaborate closely for shared value. What is the greatest entrepreneurial need that you have? And somebody's already said technical. So the notion that you need a business jockey and a tech jockey to be an entrepreneur, I guess. And communication and trust. Admin, yeah, you definitely need an accountant, eh? I'm going to put that in. Yeah, you want the same things in the team. Okay, so is that culture, I guess? Shared culture, perhaps? Collaborative culture? Cool. And we'll give it another minute. So I'm going to set the timer now. Trust is coming through very strongly. It's absolutely fundamental to what you need in a team. So in other words, demonstrating that you do what you say, and you say what you do, and you're transparent, I guess. Transparency could be another one. But trust has come through almost the strongest. Understanding, yeah, empathy, I guess, is a similar concept. Yeah, especially, you know, when you're dealing with underprivileged or, you know, less privileged environments where people have understanding their frame of reference, and giving them the opportunity to fail and learn. Cool. So I see that my timer stopped the thing there, but that's cool. Collaboration, trust, communication, understanding, transparency, sense of fun, even though it's small, pops out. Absolutely. And then when you think of the way you work, what is your greatest need in terms of entrepreneurial practices? Okay, so now if you go to the slide, you'll see we're on the practices mindset. Practices pathway, which is still part of the way you work. So remember, we've done team, we've done skills, and we're on practices in terms of the way you work. So start entering there. And I'm going to give this one a bit more time, because I think it's pretty important that, you know, that we really share practices that work from an entrepreneurial perspective, and that we learn from one another.
Right.
So yes.
Matt, could you please elaborate a bit on practices, because we're not seeing the pathway you're referring to. We're only seeing the results slide with the question on.
I can see on my results screen, I can see the practices image, but it's kind of the methods for extracting and sharing value. You know, so whatever those practices might be, as an example, agile, lean practices, you know, market validation, whatever practices you might have come across and experienced that you find beneficial. Thanks, Liesel. I recall now that I was supposed to do more of that all along.
Yeah, it's just that we're not seeing the slide you're seeing. Maybe it's just me, but I'm only seeing the one where the results are coming up.
Yeah. On the voting slide at the top, the picture of practices is there, just above the question.
Thanks.
So networking is coming through very strong. Come on, I entered some stuff and it says I didn't enter anything. Lean, agile, networking, marketing. Yeah. Market validation. Finding clients. That reminds me of another one I was thinking of. Somebody needs to mute. Cool. We'll give it another minute. There's some excellent feedback there. How to get a product out. I guess that's go to market, eh? Oops, didn't mean to go forward. I meant to give it a minute. So I'm setting the timer now. Agile still standing out big time. Toolkits. I'm surprised that all the canvases that are out there that aren't featuring. There's lots of canvases that are really cool. For example, the where to start canvas and the where to play canvas, which helps with how to get started, how to get a product out. And then there's product canvases out there. So lots of canvases that are really, really interesting and useful. Yeah. Awesome. We got 10 seconds left. And we got lots of input. That's awesome. And what we're going to do with this is check it against what already exists on the framework. So we'll update the framework, and you'll be more than happy. We'll be more than happy to share it with you. So when you think of the way you work, moving on to skills, what's your greatest need for entrepreneurial skills? Where are skills an issue? What do you need? Or even just what comes to mind when you think of skills? You know, what are the key skills that come to mind? So you might not personally have a need for that skill because you've conquered it, but the essential skills that leverage the capabilities you need to create value, what are they, and where do you have a need for them? Critical thinking skills has already emerged, and it's absolutely key. Persuasion, sourcing clients, yeah, really understanding customers, I guess. I'm just entering some stuff. Okay. Cool, and we're going to take a bit more time on this one. So take your time. Awesome interaction we're getting. Strategy is out of fashion these days because you need to test the environment continuously and evolve and iterate. So, but you can still be strategic in the way you go to market and what you do. Traditional strategy, I guess, is out of fashion. Sales has suddenly popped up as the biggest issue. And I guess that goes to finding clients, eh? Awesome. Problem solving, absolutely. Okay, so let's give it another minute. I'm sure you can think of more stuff. Design thinking, yeah. Ideation, I guess. And we got 10 seconds. So, wow, sales, and problem solving. Yeah, interesting. So this gives us a pretty interesting input to where we should focus to help our community going forward. And definitely helping with sales is something we can do. So when you think of your value offer, so we're now onto the third part of the framework, and we're focusing on customer. So what word or phrase best describes customer value? You know, what does customer value look like for you? So the customer pathway is about the value that you exchange for mutual benefit with your customer. And you know, there are things like customer validation, you know, really understanding your ideal client. Customer value propositions already popped up. So yeah, you guys have got the gist of it. So give us your input there. Asking the customer. Service, customer touch points, the customer journey. I'm going to give you guys time to think about this one because it can be a tough one. Delight the customer, build trust with the customer. Let's see what, it's not very clear. Yeah, trust is coming through strongly. Better benefits, understanding gains, solving pains. Very cool. So let's give it one more minute. Repeat business, yeah. So of course, one of the biggest things with platform businesses is customer lifetime value. So, you know, getting that subscription business going that allows you to just keep billing the customer and increasing the value exchange. So both adding more product and generating more revenue as a result. Very cool. But trust is dominant. So that's very cool. We've got 20 seconds left till voting closes. Don't know if you guys are actually seeing the timer.
Yes, we do.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Brand affiliation. Yeah. So what about community and purpose? I didn't get it in time. Cool. So that's awesome. Thanks so much. Let's move on to the next slide, which is about resources. So when you think of your value offer, what is your greatest need for entrepreneurial resources? So this is the access to the capabilities, tools, and templates, and we're going to take as much time as we need on this one, because I think the more we can share secrets, if you like, in this place, or silver bullets, if they exist, in the space of resources that make it easier to serve your customer, the better. So we've spoken about canvases as an example. Abundance has just popped up big and bold. People, yeah. So that things like staff on demand, you know, using freelance resources, using the all of the platforms that are out there that allow you to share these kind of things. Diesel, I see there's quite a few things going on in the chat which I haven't been able to to see?
Yeah, no, it's just general comments being made as an
Okay, cool.
example. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
Pietro, specifically around strategy formulation,
Okay, cool.
long-term versus new strategy for this world we find ourselves in today.
This increasingly changing cadence
Yes,
of
yeah.
business, yeah.
I've made a note of that.
Accelerating, yeah.
Yes, I've made a note of that for us so that we can have a free workshop on discussing that, because that's
yeah, that's
also
a good
quite
one.
a good one.
Yeah, very cool one.
Great, we've got 20 minutes left.
Yes, no, sure, we should be fine. Cool. Short-term skills, yeah. So the notion of engaging on, you know, the specific skills that you need at the time that you need them, without you know, without employing people actually, which because I'm sure you're all familiar with the notion that net new jobs come from entrepreneurship. They don't come from corporates. So employment is not sustainable, as evidenced by the chaos that's going on in the markets at the moment from a job perspective. So I'm going to give it one more minute. Experience is a lovely one. So, you know, this is why we're building a community of practice where we can all support each other and give guidance and input and share our experiences. So awesome, and have people to lean on. So people is emerging quite strongly, and yeah, it's absolutely key to have people to lean on in the process. So there isn't a need to be a solo entrepreneur. A solopreneur. You can actually be part of a community like this, where people will support you to deliver what you need. Staff on demand is now the dominant phrase, which is awesome. Adaptable capabilities, high skilled, affordable. Yeah, that's increasingly the case. Is you can get, you know, very specific skills, actually, that would traditionally have been quite expensive to leverage, but because you can leverage them, you know, in a very intentional way, they are much more affordable. Awesome. So that's that one. Now we move on to solutions, and this one I want to really take a little bit more time on. So when you think of your value offer, what is the greatest need for entrepreneurial solutions? And here, you know, if you think in terms of anything as a service is increasingly the case. It is increasingly the case that, sorry, what's happened? I've gone to the next slide somehow, which wasn't my intention. Sorry, there we go, back to solutions. It's increasingly the case that anything is available as a service. You can get elements of marketing, just the piece of marketing that you need, just help with LinkedIn, or just help with Facebook, or just help with, you know, whatever digital marketing that you need as a service, or any other service for that matter. You can get your accounting, your bookkeeping, you can get strategy workshops as a service. So anything as a service is increasingly a fundamental resource and solution for entrepreneurs. But if you are familiar or aware of specific solutions that you believe, you know, people should be aware of, please put them in here. Solutions are the application of capabilities, practices, and tools that deliver value to the customer. Yeah, so sales tools, you know, things like HubSpot, obviously. There's another one that's similar to HubSpot, but more affordable. Those kind of tools, all available as a service. And you really don't have to build the traditional team, you know, with every single job function defined, every job description spelt out, and people only doing exactly what their job description says, and then you find out that you actually need something different. So how do you get that as a service? So some interesting stuff coming up here, like digitized IP. Who put that in? Would you like to tell us what you mean by that? Because that's pretty intriguing. Anything as a service. Algorithm tools. So while algorithm tools is on the screen, makes me think of the next session that follows this. Alistair will be taking us through AI and
And
entrepreneurship methods
it
for AI.
was Alistair who put in the digitized IP. So Alistair, you're more than welcome to
Now give us a quick,
stage.
what's that, Alistair?
I was thinking, when you look at solutions, all of us have a lot of knowledge in our heads and in our teams.
Okay, yeah.
And I was thinking if you could put that into a platform, and it's like renting your brain in a two-sided digital marketplace that allows you to use the power of all your knowledge and other people's collective knowledge in a marketplace
Awesome.
where you can monetize it 24 hours a day. So that was on my mind.
Awesome, yeah. So when I saw IP, I was thinking of the traditional intellectual property stuff, but you're talking about the collective intelligence of our brain power being digitized, which is a great notion.
I will share, if everybody's interested, I will share the recording from last week Friday's workshop we held on the subject. It was quite valuable. I'll include a link for everybody if you're interested to have a look at that.
Cool. And we're getting collaboration tools. I've set the timer, so competitive intelligence is an interesting one. Yeah. I hope you've read The End of Competitive Advantage. It's a different take on competing. And of course, 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel, another different take on competing. So we got 23 seconds left, but please carry on. I'm surprised no specific solutions being mentioned. I'm going to stop the
Looks
timer.
like there are a few, like an automated marketing tool.
Yeah. But that's still
Campaign
generalized. So, you know, we're not here to promote any particular platform or software as a service solution. But if there's anything that you're aware of that has really, you know, made your life way easier as an entrepreneur, feel free to put it in, because we want to share that with everybody else. Cool. So we'll start the timer again. Just allowing it a little bit more time. Oh, Charlene was here earlier, but I see I've had to admit her again. And as I said, you can actually go back, I believe. And if you think of something that you maybe could have, should have put into previous questions, you can do that, I believe. Cool. So 30 seconds. Solutions, anything as a service, specific tools. I mean, this Menti tool is pretty amazing. The interactive nature of the engagement is pretty awesome. Oops. Okay, voting closed. So staff on demand, and that's why we're all here, to share our experience and help each other and be staff on demand for each other, so through our collective intelligence. So that's pretty awesome. Right, and then, sorry, I think I jumped around there. No, what's going on now? So we did resources, and that was the staff on demand thing, and then we did solutions to unemployment. I would venture staff on demand as a solution to unemployment, but yeah, as I said, in order to democratize entrepreneurship, we need to democratize education, access to internet, access to data, and understand people's frame of reference and help them from their perspective to access abundance. Cool. So that was awesome as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much. We, believe it or not, we've now been through all 7 pathways, and we've basically got just over 10 minutes left. So just to kind of reinforce and share with you how we're taking this forward, and what we're doing to Democratise Entrepreneurship, and you'll see on the slide now that there is an Ask a Question button. So if you want to or need to ask a question at this point, feel free to do so. If not, I'm going to go into, and the Ask a Question button is there at any time, so feel free to use it. So what we see with this journey is that engagement and participation in communities of interest and communities of practice is absolutely critical, you know, so that we all begin to, and that's part of why we decided to go this route today of getting you to participate and contribute, you know, is just to get the feel for that engagement, get it going. And really in the workshops that we run, we encourage people to put up their hand, you know, express their opinion, have a discussion. We're really not in favor of the talking head approach. We're much more in favor of an engaging and communicative and collaborative discussion around points of common interest or common challenges. And then we use that to create data points. So that's exactly what you've seen happening here today, is we're creating the data points because that engagement feeds the machine. And at this stage, I mean, the machine is pretty much, you know, a fair amount of manual data gathering. We are running some experiments with machine learning environments, so watch the space for that. But ultimately, if we create, as Alistair alluded to, a brain of entrepreneurial collective intelligence that we can all share, imagine the power of that. And what will happen then is that the machine learning will recommend appropriate content, kind of a Spotify for learning, that will help you to solve the immediate problem that you have, to find the tool that you need to solve the problem that you have right now, or the resource, or, you know, to learn the practice that will move the needle forward for you. And that requires ongoing participation and engagement so that we can increase the quality of recommendations and the correlation strength of the recommendations based on, you know, understanding your context and your frame of reference and where you are and what you need. And then we capture and share those learnings. So we share with the people, but we also we'll also share it with the machine. And at this stage, the machine is as simple. So we're live on YouTube at the moment. That's also being recorded, and therefore it's digitized, and you can go back to it and explore it further and learn from it. And this is what we do in our workshops every week: is we capture this the material so that it's you know, available digitally for sharing further. And then ultimately we can actually monetize this digital IP, as Alistair put it. So, you know, really taking everything that you learn and sharing it once you've captured it digitally gives you the opportunity to ultimately monetize what you've learned. So I hope that you found that interesting, and that is you know, makes sense to you. I want to just go back there and just give you an opportunity to ask a question if you'd like to, or if anybody has a question before we go on to the next final section in the last couple of minutes of the session. Any questions? Anything in the chat maybe that is posed as a question that, you know, needs some discussion? Anybody out there?
Craig, there's nothing, no questions in the Zoom chat.
Okay.
I have a question though.
Okay.
So how can people engage with the Democratizing Entrepreneurship community and participate?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a massively leading question that we are getting to. You can join the community on LinkedIn, and we'll post the link to that. So yeah, thanks for that, Liesel. You know, what we're looking for is people to really get passionate about the concepts and the needs that we're identifying, and champion them, you know. So run workshops with us, teach people with us, digitize your knowledge with us, and share that knowledge so that we can ultimately have this kind of circular individual to platform to community to commercial continuous feedback loop, and that we'll incorporate AI into to increase the success of all of us. So, how likely are you to join the Democratizing Entrepreneurship community? Would you like to give us some input to that, please? And if you are already a member, I guess in fairness, you should either not respond or just say very likely. I know some of you are already members. Cool. So we've got some somewhat likely, very likely, and quite a few extremely likelies. That's great feedback. Shame, poor Alice is only joining now. But we will be sharing the recording and the slides. And as I said, it was live on YouTube. So it is there in the Democratizing Entrepreneurship YouTube channel. So you will be able to, watch what took place and learn from it as well. Awesome. So thank you for that. I'm interested to see the somewhat likely, and if that person would like to elaborate on how we might make it more likely that they would join, that would be intriguing. Happy to take all kinds of feedback, any and all feedback. How likely are you to recommend the Democratizing Entrepreneurship community to other entrepreneurs? So slightly different question. Previous one was for you yourself to join. This one is recommend. So here, if you are an existing member, you can obviously participate, because you need to tell us whether you are likely to recommend. You only get one opportunity to answer there. And again, we have a somewhat likely. I'd love to know who that is. Talk to me. I want to know what your thinking is. But awesome to see that we have extremely likely. And then I think I've got two more questions. So I'm going to move on. How likely are you to use the entrepreneurial brain framework to enhance entrepreneurship? So, different question again. Give us your input, please. And looks like we're adding value because we're getting extremes and varies. And the somewhat person is still on the fence. I want to meet this person. I really do. I want to understand.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I think the reason we would like to understand is because we are continuously looking to working towards achieving our massive transformative purpose statement. So your feedback, everybody's feedback will be highly appreciated.
Absolutely.
You do have my email address, which you've received, and Craig and I are always happy to meet and obtain input. People who are on this call who's given us feedback before have witnessed how we take everything on board and implement immediately. So please feel free to share.
Absolutely. Cool. And moving on to that's it. That's a wrap. Yeah, I can we just share the anybody got a question? So please ask the question, where do you join the community, so that I can post the link there. Go there quickly.
I've shared the community link in the Zoom chat.
Okay, cool. But let's put it on the presentation as well, because then it'll show on Facebook. And we've got 2 people waiting to enter. That's people that were on earlier that obviously got kicked out. So awesome. So that's a wrap. Thanks so much for joining us. And there's another session tomorrow at the same time at 3 p.m. Central European Time or South African Standard Time. So you're welcome to participate again. I really appreciate your support and your input. And also, if you're up for a session on AI, which is going to be absolutely wild, the next session from Alistair is on AI. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks very much. I'm going to close it down, but thank you for joining us and have a great one. Cheers, everyone.